Right now, we are about to kickstart the program, talking about the 1-hour interview that we'll be having with our special guest on the program today. And today on the program, we'll be looking at something critical. Abeola told you it's about public-private partnership. A lot of people would say that the framework needed to engage private investors, the private sector that is willing to do business with government is always needed. We talk about different angles to it, and right now we have in the studio our guest who is a lawyer, a consultant and corporate services author as well, Mr. ADEBISI SOGUNLE. Thank you so much for being a part of the program today.
Thank you for having me. It's nice to be in Ogun State. It's nice to be in the Gateway State. It's nice to be here in the state of my father and the state of my mother. And I did my secondary school here. I'm a proud alumnus of St. Peter's College. So it's back home.
Okay, we want to welcome you to the program once again. That means you are in the right state to talk about Ogun State and talk about development of Ogun State. So we will kickstart now by asking you about public-private partnership. What do you think, why do you think government go into this kind of arrangement? Are we saying government, we know government to be the sole provider of everything in developing economy. So why are we introducing the PPP, let me shorten it, the PPP, into government arrangement, government agendas now? Are we saying government alone cannot do it? Are we saying government government saying they are getting so tired of doing this project? Is that what this PPP portrays?
Well, let me quickly settle you down on that matter. You see, all over the world, development everywhere in the world, it is a collaboration of the private and the public. Anywhere, any country, any geographical environment where you have an enabling environment for the private sector to collaborate with the public sector, you see growth, you see development, you see a lot of progress. It is clear that to deliver the vision of democracy and to create the kind of good life that people need to have, the public cannot deliver it alone. You see, one of the things most people don't realize is that the private sector, from time immemorial, has always helped the public sector to deliver infrastructure, to deliver the dividend of democracy. Let me give you an example. There is an airport in UK that is a major airport into UK, in London, okay, Gatwick. You don't know the private sector that built it. There's an international gateway into UK and out of UK. One of the best airports in the whole world, the airport in Singapore, private sector delivered it. In US, private sector are involved in power. In fact, they are involved in many other sensitive aspects of the economy. So it is very clear that on two main platforms, capital and technical know-how, the public sector needs the private sector to deliver infrastructure and to deliver the dividend of democracy. Now, any place, any geographical environment where you have the hostility of the public sector to the private sector, if the public sector is hostile to the private sector in any place, any country, any state, any territory, two things will be there: underdevelopment and poverty. So it is the interest of our government, both at the level of the national, subnational, and when you talk about subnational, it's all about the state, now the local government, to consciously, when I use the word consciously create an enabling environment for the private sector to play in the public space. You know, one of the challenges that many people don't understand about public-private partnership is that the public people, the public servant, the civil servant, and the private person, they can't think alike.
Okay. Why?
Because why they can't think alike?
Why is that?
For the private sector man, is profit driven. Charity does not sit in the boardroom. That is his mantra. He wants to make profit. And because he wants to make profit, he is efficient. He cannot afford to go to sleep. The public wants to deliver service. So the public is more of charity.
Okay.
The private is more of profits. So private sector man thinks about profits. In fact, if you give him 5 things, profit. Even if you do what is called CSR, he has profit in mind. If you give corporate social responsibility, he knows that if I invest in this environment will invest back in me.
Okay.
So he's doing the CSR to make sure that from where he's taking his profit, he's also investing back. Because if you don't give back to where you are taking profit as a private sector man, you will expire there. Somebody else will come and make profit from there and will give back to them. Okay. So even in CSR, it has profit eyes. It's not blind.
So when you now look at Nigeria, or maybe let's talk about the different states, especially Ogun State, that has been, talking about, the use of this package, especially when the current governor came on board. He talked a lot about, private sector engagement, and PPP packages is what he has largely been. He talks almost every time about the need for.
So let me explain to you. You see.
So when you look at what has been happening, since he got to power, and the level of engagement of the private sectors, and of course the PPP arrangement for different projects, how do you judge Ogun State or Nigeria at large? Are we effectively doing it right, or getting the kind of result expected?
First of all, let me say something fundamental. God brought the present governor to this state for such a time as this. I'm a private sector person. I've been involved in PPP projects for over 20 years. I've helped to bet and execute PPP project more than 20 across the state. And the book I wrote, Practical Guide to Public-Private Partnership, which was launched a few weeks ago, I detail so many things there. Now, Governor Abeokuta is a blessing to this state. In this area, is a blessing, and I'll tell you why it's a blessing. He came on board May 2019, is it not so?
Exactly.
Okay, you are in the state.
Yeah.
Okay, May 2019. Okay, by December of that same year, he has created a legal platform, a legal framework for public-private partnership to thrive in this state. So he didn't just talk. He said he talked. He backed up his talking with action. There are two sets of people: those who give you fish and those who teach you how to fish. Many people they go for those who give them fish. They don't appreciate those who teach them how to fish. What the governor did was he came on board and establish this state as a state that if you ever want to do public-private partnership in this state, there is a legal framework. And you know, I call your attention to the fact that without even knowing that I have opportunity to come and talk in this state, in this studio, I reference it in my book, and I'm going to read it at page 43. I told you, I said, and it's under the chapter that I titled Legal and Institutional Framework for PPP Arrangements in Nigeria. Legal and Institutional Framework for PPP Arrangements in Nigeria. And in 43, I said at state and subnational level, the state government of Governor Prince Dr. Abeokuta, in a bid to promote and encourage PPP arrangements in infrastructure development in the state. You see, enacted the Public-Private Partnership Law of Ogun State, Law number 28 of 2019, which became effective on the 2nd day of December 2019. So it was sworn in May 29. By 2nd day of December 2019, he has made sure that he has made the legal foundation for PPP to take place in Ogun State. For the state to join other states of the federation that have the legal framework and institutional framework for public-private partnership. If that's everything he did, I'll ever be grateful to him.
Okay. Because
you see, public-private partnership is the future of infrastructure development in Nigeria. The state has a lot of, both at the national, subnational, they have a lot of contending things to do that the private sector must be brought in to help. Now, most of that, before he did this law, most people are used to when they say, oh, private sector is intervening in public affairs, they are talking about privatization.
Okay, I was going there.
And you see, many don't know the difference between privatization and PPP. Privatization talks about transferring the interest of the public, either in whole or in parts, to the private sector on an existing project. That's what privatization is all about. That's why most of the time privatization has always been very controversial in Nigeria. Because it means that either in part or in whole, the interest of the state or the public was transferred. I'll give you an example. Okay. There is a national example which everybody knows. Okay, there is a company called Blue Ocean. In 2007, Blue Ocean, and it also came from a son of this state, President Olusegun Obasanjo. He felt that the way Nigeria is going, let's hand over the refinery to those who can run it very well. That is in 2007. So he privatized Port Harcourt refinery and Kaduna refinery, gave it to a company called Blue Ocean, and they had, I think, 51%. Not everything, 51%.
Of the 100%.
Of the 100%. Okay, so who are the shareholders of Blue Ocean? Dangote, Zeno, Transcorp, and Rivers State government. But unfortunately, immediately he left government, despite the fact that the same party, PDP, despite the fact that he was involved in getting General Yar'Adua, not General, the brother, Yar'Adua to become the president of our nation. When Yar'Adua got there, that privatization was cancelled. And the money paid by the private sector was returned. to fast track it, 2007. We are in 2024. Port Harcourt refinery has never worked. It has gone through turnaround maintenance till today. Kaduna refinery is still comatose. NNPC has not been able to get it to work. And one of the players, whether you like it or not, one of the players in that company called Blue Ocean, Dangote, has a refinery in Lagos State now that is 650,000 metric tons per day. How do you justify that? Do you know what that has done to the economy of Nigeria? From 2007 till today, we have continued to import fuel into Nigeria. We've continued to import diesel. We continue to import aviation fuel. We have lost a lot of resources to subsidy. We have imported poverty, because the moment you are exporting crude or you are swapping crude oil for products of the refinery, in fact you are importing poverty. So that is why PPP, you see, the way forward, I can't just see how any state can develop without public-private partnership. In the reality of what is happening globally. And that's why to the government.
This was what you talked about, which is the legal framework.
Yes.
There are other aspects of it, and like I ask you, what exactly would be your review of the ones that we've done so far in Ogun State and in Nigeria, to be able to know that, okay, like you said, this is the best thing we could do for the people of Ogun State and for the people of Nigeria, such that the services needed by the people are actually delivered to the people.
You see, in Ogun State, let me tell you, the private sector man is interested in your legal framework, is interested in your political will. Now, the governor has delivered on both ends. He has demonstrated political will, that if you come to this state, you're a private sector, we welcome you to come and do business with us. Are you getting what I'm saying?
Yes, sir.
He has demonstrated it. And he has backed it up with the law. Now, anything you see happening now, and anything you see that will happen in future, are you hearing me?
Yeah.
Is based on these two pillars. You know, most of the time people want to they look forward to the effect. They don't understand that if the foundation is solid, which is what the government has created. You see, I don't want to be calling the government, but that's what he has done.
Okay.
And if somebody has done something, you just have to credit him. Now, in years to come, whether you like it or not, you will still refer to this 2019 enactment. Because you see, I'll read something to you about the 2019 enactment. It did not only create the platform for PPP, it also created an office for PPP.
Okay, Mr. Sogunle, before we move on, we want to go for a short break, and that will be a commercial break. When we'll come back, it will be time for us to continue our discussion, which we end or terminate by 10:25. So let's have this commercial break.
We are thrilled to have you on board as we chart the course for our next chapter. We're inviting you to take up your right in full for 19 naira 75 kobo per share. From the 8th of July to 14th of August, take advantage of the chance to acquire one more ordinary share for every 2 shares in your portfolio. Visit www.theaccesscorporation.com to subscribe. Access Holdings, where financial solutions connect the world.
we'll continue with the interview segment of the New Dawn of today. We still have Barrister SOGUNLE in the house, and he has been talking about what Ogun State has been able to do with the PPP arrangement. Behind the scene, we asked you if Ogun State is the only state that is practicing these. What are the benefits that you think if other states are practicing the PPP as you are advertising for us for development? What will be the benefit for us? Because Nigerians want to see what this PPP will bring about.
Okay.
Nigerians want to see the benefit and how it will ease economy, ease how to live, ease the living of people. So tell us other states who are practicing this and what are the benefits.
Okay, don't let us go far. Okay, don't let us go far. Okay, let's go to our next door neighbor, Lagos State. But you know today, Ogun State feeds Lagos State and Ogun State has Lagos State. When they say that, I hope you know the meaning. That Ogun State feeds Lagos State, Ogun State has Lagos State. Most of the food they eat in Lagos State is here in Ogun State. Most of the workers in Lagos State, they are living in Ogun State. Okay. In Lagos State, why did you think that the Dangote refinery is in Lagos State? It's PPP. How did you think that? What do you think happened when Dangote refinery was given the opportunity to operate in a free trade zone, and ETZ was created for him? Dangote ETZ, free trade zone. There is Lekki free trade zone and there is Dangote free trade zone with the same axis. How do you think that one company can be given a plot of land that is times 5 the entire Victoria Island in a state? That is PPP. The Lekki concession that makes the Lekki road to be done is PPP. Now, at federal level, let me tell you, there is something at federal level. The administration of Buhari. Okay. There is an aspect of PPP that they use that today, for me, it's a celebration. If the man did not do anything, he did that one. We call it Presidential Order 007 of 2019. And what is that presidential order? Tax credit is given to companies. So you execute a project for federal government and we are giving a tax credit. Tax credit, not tax holiday.
Okay.
Not tax concession.
Okay.
Tax credit, which means the tax you are supposed to pay next year, 2 years time, 3 years time. You first of all, you have used it to do a public project today. Because of that, if you know Apapa, to the beginning of Lagos-Ibadan Expressway, that road was done by Dangote on tax credits. There is a road today they call Bonny Bodo Road in Rivers State. From mainland Rivers, Port Harcourt, you will drive on the highway to Bonny Island. MLLG, that is Nigeria Liquefied Gas. They are the ones that did it. They paid for it on tax credit. The road between Ekpoma, that highway that starts from Ekpoma, Lua, Adenebode to Lankese, on your way to Kogi State, DUA took it and they are doing it on what is called tax credit. In fact, if the government officials are listening to me, I think that is one aspect of PPP that should be copied in Ogun State. Why? Because we have many industries in Ogun State. So what do? You just look at what they have done at federal, you domesticate it, you fine-tune it to your own. Every industry, every company in the state will pay what is called PITA.
Okay.
PITA, personal income tax. So you can give a company, oh, help us do this 10 kilometers of road. It leads to where your company is, or is very close to where your company is, and we give it as credit. That is the revenue they've not gotten has already delivered a public project. That is the meaning of tax credit.
Okay, Mr. Shogun, I don't see this kind of arrangement as eating from the national cake. Why do I say that? You know that when you want to bid for this project, you want to bid for this project before you will be picked as a company that will carry out all this infrastructural project that we are talking about. So if the government now picks the person who they know, and the person did not deliver to the standard that the arrangement or the documentation says, can they be sued? Would that be seen as eating from the national cake?
I understand where you are coming from. You see, that's the challenge of public service. You know, let me explain to you. PPP and women, can it be abused? Yes. But if it is followed according to plan, it will deliver for you. Because a private sector man who is coming to do a PPP must pass 2 tests. He has the money and he has the technical know-how. It's not a big case private sector player. If you go and give a PPP project to your friend, because it's your friend, you are going to fail. I know what I'm saying. Now, when you talk about tax credit, somebody already has an history with you. You already know that this company in the last 10 years, they paid us this amount of money annually, at least as tax. You understand there's what is called a scenario. You approach that company and say, look, we want you to execute this project on behalf of the state. The state will give you this tax credit. They will perform. Because they are in the state. Dangote will perform because his factories are in Apapa. So it is in his interest to do that road on tax credit. LNG will perform because they are in burning. Are you get what I'm saying? Yeah. You see, the mind of the private sector and the public man, they can't think the same. And they will never think the same. Now, a private sector, a public sector man, sit down. Let me tell you that that's one of the law of Ogun State. Let me read you some models.
Okay.
I'll read you some models in this state. Let us domesticate our discussion to this state. I'm happy.
Yeah.
Now, part of the model that this state has, they have design, build, operate, and transfer. A design, build, operate, and transfer is something that is not existing, you are bringing it to come to existence. So, if you get a private sector to bring what is not existing into existence, is that not a value added? Beautiful. They have build, own, operate, and transfer. Build, the same thing. It has not existed before. Now, they have rehabilitate, operate, and transfer. Okay, what is rehabilitate, operate, and transfer? Let's assume before this governor came up, there are some projects that the previous governor did. Some factories they started, some businesses they started that have gone comatose. What do public officers of this state supposed to do is to identify them and look for those who will come and rehabilitate it, operate it, who have technical know-how, who have the money to rehabilitate it, to operate it. Are you hearing me?
Yeah.
And in the number of years, maybe for after 10 years, 15 years, they transfer it back. Remember, if they succeed in rehabilitating it, they've added value. If they are operating it successfully, they've added more value. Now, by the time they are transferring it to you, they are transferring with the goodwill that has been generated. So if you ask me now what the governor has done, I'm not the spokesperson, and what he should have done, I will tell you. The first thing he has done, which is fundamental, he has created a sound legal framework and institutional framework. And you have also demonstrated a good political will. If those two are not there, no private sector man will come.
When you check, you said we should talk about Ogun State.
Yes.
When you check the different programs the governor actually introduced, it's not just infrastructural development. I talked about education. If you are interested in owning a school, you try as much as possible. You can rehabilitate schools, and of course you hand it over to government and all of those things. And looking at the balance now, some people said the balance, which of course was one of the things you talked about, can it be abused? How do we create that environment where there is balance everywhere, where the private sector coming in to assist the government in this critical area is not taking advantage of the system and all of those things. The legal framework would definitely spell out.
You continue to use the language of a public person. They are not coming to assist. They are partnering. You see, partnership is not assistance.
Well, when I say assist,
yes,
it is within a context, and the context is largely that government alone cannot do this. So bring in private investors.
Okay, let me give you an example. Can I give an example?
The development.
Can I give an example of a PPP I oversaw in Cross River State? Can I? Okay. A rice mill. I took a company to Cross River State that took up their rice mill. The rice mill is located in Ogoja. It's 65,000 metric tons. The people of the state did not believe that rice mill was existing. The journalists in the state said it is a fake, that the government does not know what he's doing. Because their governor, that time, speaks a lot of English. He's a professor. So the people did not understand him. But the rice mill is there. The same in the same state, through that governor, we got a license to run a university. Private, you see, they already have a federal university. They have a state university. So there is no way you will have given them another university. But through PPP, there is a university now in Obudu called, I can't mention the name of the university because that would be advertisement. But the university is there. The same way you have a cargo airport now that is functioning in Ogun State, that the government brought through PPP. Now, if you see somebody say, what is will that bring food to my table? Logistics will bring food to your table. Enabling environment will bring food to your table. We got to where we are now because no enabling environment was made for private sector to thrive in public space.
So how can we encourage more private sector engagement with this kind of initiative, for instance, because of the gamut of problems?
I will tell you
in the construction industry, you see the roads of different parts of the country, for instance, different parts of the local government. We talk about the rural construction of rural roads and all of those. The reason we are where we are right now with respect to the increment in anything, over 400% increment coming on. So they talk about road as major in this discussion. So how can we encourage more investors? Now we have the legal framework to give them backings and all of that. So can we encourage them to come to Ogun State, for instance? And what should the government be doing?
I will tell you how. Let's start with what is happening here today. Now, you have the book. There's a chapter in the book that I wrote, Stakeholders in Public-Private Partnership Arrangements and PPP Contract, the stakeholder. And I said a major stakeholder is the media.
Okay.
You see, the media that does not understand what PPP is all about can never help PPP to thrive in any state. I will give you a classical example of that. When Lekki concession took place, the media were against it. Meanwhile, before that road was handed over to the private sector, armed robbery attack takes place on that road at 7 p.m., 8 p.m. because of the hold up. They'll be robbing people. But the private sector came, expanded the road, put security, put everything. They said, why are they collecting toll? They forgot that in Lagos State, till today, at the airport, they are collecting toll. The road has not been expanded. They forgot that there are two places, one in Mission, which they now cancelled, and one in Agege. Before you cross the railway, they collect toll. But just hold on. Okay. But you see, the press put pressure on the state government, and the state government bought off that particular contract. So the media plays a major role.
If the government is so sure about the project they want to do, why should they bow to pressure?
You see how we do bow to pressure?
Why?
When the media has already, the coastal road project now, do you know the amount of bad press it got?
Perhaps perhaps the people in charge are not really engaging the people, to the extent, because at the end of the day, you're here talking about PPP. So how much of engagement were they able to do when they are embarking on projects at the local level, such that the language the people understand is what they are speaking to them? So if there is a project that is going to benefit the people, they will say that communication is critical. So which is one of the reasons, some would say that media don't just come and say what they don't know. They say what they know. So if you have not invested so much in what you want the people to know, it's difficult for media to do your job for you.
I understand.
So along that line, let's also look at the critical part of this discussion, which is not allowing government leave their responsibilities in the name of there is PPP. So they have duties to Nigerian people, which is the perception you talked about when the people say that why are you collecting toll? It's largely a perception of the government was elected to do certain things. So if you're not able to do those things, then PPP is being introduced on a constant level to fixing those things. So the people would also want to ask questions. What about your basic responsibilities? So can you balance the information?
The balance of the information is very simple. There is no way the government can do everything. So you see, until you come to that point that the government cannot do everything, and it's not only in Nigeria. You see, the challenge of PPP and the press is that they just talk about it in Nigeria. I have traveled all over the world. In Mumbai, there is a major road that leads from inland Mumbai to their marina. You will pay. In Italy, you are moving from Florence to Pistoia. You will get to a place, you will pay. Tolling is something that is worldwide. Listen, the government, the public they don't have the resources to deliver everything.
Exactly.
So for them to prioritize, government must be able to prioritize, because these are the ones that only we can do. Then the one that the private sector will help. Okay, Lagos State wants to have another airport, and they are putting it in Lekki. And they said, we are doing PPP. When that airport is built on PPP, who are the beneficiaries? It's only the governor that will be flying,
the people,
or the commissioner will be flying.
The people.
Everybody will enjoy. Now that I said hostility, you see, hostility to private sector by the public sector in any given environment is tantamount to poverty.
Okay, looking forward now, since we're talking about PPP and the benefit that should be gotten from all of that for development, what do you suggest for government now to do, especially on PPP? We are talking about development, we are talking about enabling environment, we are talking about having the basic things that you must need. What are the things that the government must provide for private sectors to thrive on the PPP arena?
My own suggestion is this. You see, we are in Ogun State, so let's domesticate it here. And this is OGTV. Officials of government of this state, they should go and study their PPP law. Understand it very well. And help the governor to attract more private sector players into the state. You see, because when a private sector man meets a public sector person, his mind starts asking questions. Today they talk about agriculture. Are you aware that agriculture is the concurrent list? The governors are the ones who have the land. The governor of the state has all the land, but he's not the one that is allocating the land. He's not the commissioner for agriculture. Then that is the Bureau of Land DG. So if the Bureau of Land DG and the commissioner for agriculture, they understand PPP very well, they will help the governor to use that same land that they have to generate a lot of traction in progress for the state. The public sector cannot sit down and wait for the private sector to approach them. No! The moment you are waiting for that, you are going to wait in vain. Because the private sector is looking for, it's profit driven. The man sees profit, he dreams profit, he wakes up with profit. As far as he's concerned, I want to make profit. So if somebody called and told you, follow me to this state, we'll give you this, we'll give you this, we'll give you this, we'll give you this, and you make more money, he will go. His office may be located in Ogun State, but all his projects are in other states. I told you now. I was involved, it's in my book, I wrote it there. I was involved in over 15 PPP projects in Cross River State. After which I said, look, I must write this book. Because the experience that I garnered from those 15 projects, apart from the ones I have done before, my first PPP project was in Lagos State, and it was in 2004. In Lagos State. And who was the person that brought me to that PPP project? A public sector man who later became a private sector, who went back to public and came back to private. Alhaji Lai Mohammed. So, you see, we need to interrogate this discussion. We need to know that any time a private sector man sees opportunity in any place where he can make profit, he will go there. So how do we make our state private sector friendly? That's what we should all be thinking about. How do we make our state private sector friendly? The governor has done his own. In 6 months, he came as a private sector man. He came and created a legal framework. Remember, before there were other governors, they didn't do the law. Not because the law did not, they didn't know that law ought to be done. But he came, and in the first 6 months, he did the law. He created the legal framework.
So what's the role of the people, because at the end of the day is delivering good governance to the people, and of course the role of the people in all of this is also one of the things. Some talked about monitoring and evaluation, some talked about the need for people to ask the right questions, and I don't know what you think the role of people should be at this stage, so that, like you said, making Ogun State investor friendly, and yes, so that we can get that.
Okay, the people are also major. In my book I also said, who are the stakeholders? Maybe you should also read that book. That chapter on that stakeholders. Part of the stakeholders are the people. Because you see, the people are the ones that will be benefiting from infrastructural development, from growth in their area. Okay, let me give you an example. If in this state there is an industry that is comatose, and the people saw that the state is the owner of the industry, nothing stops them from approaching the commissioner for industries. Okay, if the state does not have money to spend to rehabilitate this industry, our law says we can bring a private sector player to help us rehabilitate it. Why are we not doing that? The representative of the people who are in the state of our assembly, why would they not understand that the law they promulgate, that they enacted, can take care of such an issue? That is why vigilance on all of us, vigilance by all of us will help. Because what we want is progress. What we want is to turn what we have into what we should have.
Exactly.
Are you hearing me?
Exactly.
So today, what do you have in this state? I can tell you, you have a fantastic, a very beautiful people law, which any private sector man will go for. In your people law, you have arbitration. But if there is any problem with the public, the private sector man should go for arbitration. That's what the private sector are looking for.
Okay.
Opportunity to resolve our problem in-house through mediation and arbitration and non-litigation.
Okay, thank you so much. That will be an appropriate avenue for us to stop the interview segment. I know that there are a lot of things to talk about when we talk about PPP arrangement, not only in Ogun State but across Nigeria, because we need it all across states of Nigeria. I want to thank you so much for coming on the program, Mr. SOGUNLE.
Thank you for having me. I want to thank your GM. I want to thank all those who made it possible for this, because this is public education, sensitizing the public, the media.
The media is critical.
To know what we have in our state.
Exactly.
To know what the law says, to know what the governor has done, and to know what other who are in the public space should also do to give us the best in the delivering of dividend of democracy. I'm very grateful to you.
All right, thank you, Simeon.
Thank you so much for being a part of this. We really appreciate you, and this will be the end of today's edition of New Dawn. Next week will be another time on New Dawn, Monday, Wednesdays, and Fridays. Till then, be a wonderful citizen of Nigeria. Bye for now.